Long before the towering dinosaurs or the lush prehistoric forests, life on Earth began in an environment vastly different from what we know today. To understand the origins of life, we must journey back in time to a world shrouded in mystery, a planet less than 1 billion years old, where fiery volcanoes spewed gases into a young atmosphere, vast oceans simmered with chemical potential, and the air lacked the oxygen that now sustains most complex life. The story starts some 4.5 billion years ago, when the Earth itself formed from cosmic dust orbiting the early Sun. After initially hostile conditions, with frequent asteroid impacts and a molten surface, the planet slowly cooled. Around 4.0 billion years ago, water vapor condensed to form the first oceans. These ancient seas were the cradle for the earliest building blocks of life. But how did mere chemicals combine to create something as complex as living organisms? This question has fascinated scientists for centuries. The prevailing explanation lies in what has been coined the primordial soup, a term referring to a rich mixture of organic compounds believed to have existed in the early Earth's oceans. The idea, first proposed in the 1920s by scientists Alexander Oparin and J.B.S. Haldane, suggests that the early Earth's atmosphere was reducing, meaning it lacked oxygen but was rich in gases like methane, ammonia, water vapor, and hydrogen. Under these conditions, energy from lightning, volcanic activity, and ultraviolet sunlight could drive chemical reactions that formed organic molecules, simple carbon-based compounds, which are the foundation of all life. A breakthrough experiment in the mid-20th century by Stanley Miller and Harold Urey lent strong support to this theory. By replicating early Earth atmospheric conditions in the lab and applying electrical sparks to stimulate lightning, they were able to synthesize amino acids, vital molecules essential for proteins. This experiment demonstrated that the basic ingredients for life could indeed form naturally from simple molecules given the right conditions. But forming amino acids and other organic molecules was only the first step. The gradual complexity of life required these molecules to assemble into larger, more organized structures, like proteins, nucleic acids, including DNA and RNA, and lipids. These macromolecules, through interactions and self-organization, laid the groundwork for the first living cells. The pathway to the first cells is thought to have included the formation of protocells, simple vesicles or bubbles formed from lipid molecules that could encapsulate organic compounds, creating a distinct inner environment separated from the outside. These protocells could grow, divide, and exhibit simple metabolic processes, mimicking life's fundamental properties, but not yet fully alive. Such structures may have been stabilized on mineral surfaces or in shallow pools, where cycles of wetting and drying could concentrate molecules and encourage polymerization into complex molecules. Among the most remarkable advances in understanding life's origins is the RNA world hypothesis. RNA, a molecule similar to DNA, but capable of both storing genetic information and catalyzing chemical reactions, is believed to have played a crucial role as life's first self-replicator. Before DNA and proteins dominated, RNA molecules might have formed spontaneously, replicating themselves and evolving over time. This dual functionality of RNA bridges the gap between chemistry and biology, between mere molecules and living systems. This RNA world, however, was fragile and dependent on specific environmental niches. Over millions of years, molecular evolution led to the transition from RNA-based systems to the DNA-protein world we see today, where DNA stores information and proteins carry out metabolic functions. This transition was critical, providing greater stability and efficiency, making complex cellular life possible. Around 3.5 to 3.8 billion years ago, fossil evidence hints at the existence of the first life forms. Stromatolites, layered structures created by colonies of cyanobacteria, show that microbial life thrived in shallow seas, harnessing sunlight through photosynthesis. These earliest bacteria-like organisms fundamentally altered the Earth's atmosphere over billions of years by producing oxygen, a byproduct of their metabolism that eventually accumulated, enabling the rise of aerobic respiration and more complex life forms. The first cells, known as prokaryotes, were simple and lacked organized nuclei. Their survival was remarkable in such an unforgiving environment, but their capabilities were limited compared to later eukaryotic cells. The leap to eukaryotic life, cells with specialized organelles and nuclei, would come later, but it all began within these humblest organisms. Life's persistence during this time required adaptation to extreme conditions, high temperatures, UV radiation, and scarce nutrients. Yet, even amid adversity, life found ways to exploit available resources. Chemosynthesis, for example, allowed certain microbes to generate energy by oxidizing inorganic molecules, a strategy still seen near deep-sea hydrothermal vents today. This slow, relentless march from chemistry to biology was the foundation upon which every subsequent chapter of life on Earth was built. From these first cells emerged diverse microbial ecosystems, setting the stage for the rise of multicellular organisms and eventually the breathtaking diversity of prehistoric animals and plants. As we reflect on the origins of life, it's humbling to think that all complex creatures, whether the majestic dinosaurs, the prehistoric mammals, or ourselves, are descended from microscopic entities that once thrived in the primordial oceans. The journey from the inanimate to the animate, from rudimentary molecules to the first cells, is a testament to the resilience and creativity of nature. In the next stage of our exploration, we will see how life expanded beyond single cells in the Precambrian eon, evolving toward complexity and diversification. This transition marks a crucial turning point, revealing the remarkable innovations that led to the emergence of animals and the foundations of Earth's ecosystems as we begin to understand them today. As we transition from the primordial origins of life, characterized by simple, single-celled organisms, we enter a transformative era in Earth's history, the rise of multicellularity and the emergence of early animal life during the Precambrian eon. This chapter marks a profound shift, moving from the microscopic simplicity of solitary cells toward the complex architectures that would lay the groundwork for all animals, including the giants of the Mesozoic era and ultimately ourselves. The Precambrian, spanning from the formation of the Earth approximately 4.6 billion years ago up until roughly 541 million years ago, encompasses an immense stretch of geological time. For much of it, life remained microscopic, composed primarily of prokaryotes, organisms without a defined nucleus, such as bacteria and archaea. Yet within the last several hundred million years before the Cambrian period, fundamental biological innovations unfolded, heralding the birth of multicellular life. Multicellularity did not appear suddenly or in a singular event. Rather, it was a gradual, intricate process with multiple independent origins across varied lineages. At its core, multicellularity involves the cooperation of individual cells, adhering to one another and coordinating functions for the organism's benefit. This cooperation allowed cells to specialize, giving rise to tissues and organs with distinct roles, an essential step towards the complexity that defines animals. The reasons behind this evolutionary leap are complex and multifaceted. Environmental factors, such as increases in atmospheric oxygen, are widely believed to have played a critical role. Oxygen, a highly reactive molecule, can be both toxic and advantageous. As photosynthetic organisms like cyanobacteria gradually oxygenated the oceans and atmosphere, more energy-efficient metabolic pathways became possible. Higher oxygen levels allowed cells to produce greater energy, fueling the development of larger, more complex organisms. Fossil evidence from the late Precambrian reflects these developments, especially in formations dating from the Ediacaran period, approximately 635 to 541 million years ago. The Ediacaran biota comprises a range of enigmatic, soft-bodied organisms preserved as impressions in sedimentary rock. These creatures defy easy classification, appearing as frond-like shapes, discs, and quilted mattresses etched into ancient stone. They represent some of the earliest known multicellular animals and hint at ecological interactions long before the iconic Cambrian Explosion. Among the most remarkable Ediacaran organisms were Dickinsonia, a segmented oval-shaped creature that could grow to significant sizes, and Charniodiscus, with its distinctive stem and frond resembling sea pens. While these beings lacked hard shells or skeletons, which is why their fossils are rare and often difficult to interpret, their discovery revolutionized our understanding of early animal life. Some scientists suggest they might represent early experiments in multicellularity, or extinct lineages without direct descendants, while others see them as precursors to modern animal groups. On the molecular front, research using genetic analysis has uncovered shared developmental pathways and genes among living animals, indicating that the very building blocks of multicellularity predate the Ediacaran period. Genes controlling cell adhesion, communication, and differentiation evolved initially in single-celled ancestors, but were repurposed and refined to facilitate the complexities of multicellular organisms. This molecular heritage underscores how life's evolutionary innovations often needed slow additions upon pre-existing frameworks. Besides structural changes, the rise of multicellularity brought ecological complexities. Initially, organisms likely lived in simple environments, shallow seas and tidal pools, where they gathered resources and reproduced. But with multicellularity, new niches and interactions emerged, including early predation, competition, and symbiosis. These interactions pushed life toward greater adaptability, spurring natural selection that would later unleash the remarkable diversity of the Cambrian period. In addition to Ediacaran animals, the Precambrian witnessed the appearance of microscopic multicellular forms, such as algae and fungi ancestors. These organisms contributed fundamentally to ecosystem function by engaging in photosynthesis or recycling nutrients. The interplay of these early life forms created dynamic, albeit subdued, ecosystems far removed from the familiar landscapes of later eras. It is important to recognize that the fossil record of the Precambrian is sparse and often ambiguous due to the soft-bodied nature of early organisms and the immense time elapsed. Yet modern techniques, including microscopic analysis, isotopic studies, and molecular clocks, have helped fill gaps, allowing scientists to piece together the story of life's first ventures into complexity. Moreover, stromatolites continued to thrive during the Precambrian. These layered structures, formed by microbial communities, serve as living records of early life's ability to modify the environment. Their persistence into multicellular eras suggests a steady partnership between life and the planet's geology, demonstrating how living organisms began to shape the surface and atmosphere more profoundly. As multicellularity took hold, these early animals set the stage for a revolution in biodiversity. Though the Ediacaran fauna eventually declined, perhaps pushed out or outcompeted by emerging Cambrian forms, their legacy is undeniable. They exemplify nature's initial foray into complexity, an experimental landscape of forms and functions that hinted at what was to come. In reflecting on this fascinating phase, one appreciates the deep history underlying animal life and the tremendous patience of evolutionary processes. The rise of multicellularity transformed Earth into a world capable of sustaining life with ever-increasing intricacy, diversity, and resilience. As we prepare to step into the Cambrian Explosion, we leave behind the quiet, slow unfolding of early multicellular life and enter an era of dazzling innovation and rapid diversification. The stage is set for the emergence of hard shells, eyes, limbs, and complex behaviors. Yet, without the foundation laid during the Precambrian, none of these marvels would be possible. Thus, the rise of multicellularity and early animal life remains one of the most profound chapters in the grand story of life on Earth, bridging the gap from molecular beginnings to the thriving biological panoply that defines our planet. As we move forward from the intriguing period of the rise of multicellularity and early animal life in the Precambrian, we arrive at one of the most sensational and intensively studied epochs in Earth's biological history, the Cambrian Explosion. Occurring roughly 541 million years ago, this remarkable event stands as the dawn of complex life forms, a dramatic diversification in the variety and complexity of organisms that forever changed the biological landscape of our planet. To appreciate the profound significance of the Cambrian Explosion, it is essential to place it within the broader context of evolutionary history. Prior to this interval, life on Earth was predominantly microscopic and simple in form, mostly soft-bodied organisms with limited anatomical complexity. Although multicellularity had emerged and some enigmatic creatures of the Ediacaran biota thrived, ecosystems were relatively uniform and dominated by a handful of body plans. Then, within a geologically brief span of about 20 to 25 million years, a biological revolution unfolded. This period witnessed an unprecedented increase in the diversity of life forms, with the rapid emergence of most major animal phyla, the fundamental groups defined by unique body plans and developmental patterns. For the first time, hard parts such as shells, exoskeletons, and mineralized skeletons began to appear in the fossil record, improving preservation and providing vivid glimpses into early animal morphology. One of the most iconic features of the Cambrian Explosion is the sudden appearance of trilobites. These segmented arthropods, resembling miniature armored tanks, became some of the most successful early animals, colonizing ancient seas with remarkable ecological variety. Their wealthy fossil record charts not only their form, but also subtle variations that reveal their evolutionary adaptations across diverse marine habitats. Besides trilobites, entirely novel organisms appeared, including early relatives of mollusks, echinoderms like sea stars and sea urchins, and the enigmatic priapulid worms. The Cambrian seas were inhabited by a dazzling array of creatures displaying a tremendous variety of shapes, sizes, and modes of life, from tiny filter feeders to formidable predators. Among the most fascinating residents of Cambrian oceans was Anomalocaris, a large, uniquely adapted predator. With its large compound eyes, flexible body, and appendages capable of grasping prey, Anomalocaris represents one of the earliest known apex predators. Its presence reflects the establishment of complex food webs, where predation drove evolutionary innovations such as defense mechanisms and speed. This era also saw the emergence of the first chordates, the group that includes all vertebrates. Some of the earliest vertebrate ancestors, possessing primitive notochords and segmented muscles, float into view from Cambrian deposits. Though small and relatively simple, these animals carry the genetic blueprint that would eventually give rise to fish, amphibians, reptiles, mammals, and birds. After the remarkable diversification during the Cambrian Explosion, life in the ancient seas evolved into an extraordinary menagerie of creatures, exhibiting forms and behaviors that were innovative and strikingly diverse. The seas of the Cambrian and early Ordovician periods teemed with life that laid the foundation for future marine ecosystems and shaped evolutionary pathways for hundreds of millions of years to come. Among the most emblematic of these early ocean inhabitants were trilobites, Anomalocaris, and the earliest vertebrates, each representing distinct and critical chapters in the story of life. Trilobites stand out as one of the most successful and fascinating groups of early arthropods. These creatures, with their segmented exoskeletons and intricate body plans, were some of the earliest animals to develop a hard shell composed of calcium carbonate, which provided protection and structural support. Trilobites ranged widely in size, from a few millimeters to over 70 centimeters in length, and their morphology evolved dramatically over time to suit various ecological niches. Their bodies were divided into 3 lobes running longitudinally, from which they derive their name, which included the central axial lobe and 2 pleural lobes on either side. Fossil discoveries reveal that trilobites occupied a variety of ecological roles. Some were benthic crawlers, skimming the ocean floor in search of organic detritus, while others possessed complex eyes featuring calcite lenses, enabling them to be efficient predators or scavengers. Their ability to enroll their body, curling into a ball, provided defense against predators, a feature evocative of modern-day pillbugs. Trilobites thrived in the ancient seas for over 270 million years, eventually declining and going extinct at the end of the Permian period, but their extensive fossil records have become key for understanding evolutionary patterns and marine biodiversity through deep time. Another remarkable Cambrian sea dweller, Anomalocaris, was a giant predator and one of the earliest apex hunters of the ocean. Measuring up to a meter or more in length, Anomalocaris was undoubtedly a formidable presence in the marine realm. Its body was sleek and flexible, well streamlined for swift movement. Its most distinctive features included 2 large frontal appendages armed with spines used to grasp prey, a circular mouth lined with tooth-like plates for crushing, and some of the earliest compound eyes known from the fossil record, which provided exceptional visual acuity. The presence of such a sophisticated predator dramatically influenced the structure of Cambrian ecosystems. As animals like Anomalocaris evolved to pursue prey, other species developed defensive features such as hard shells and spines, triggering an evolutionary arms race that fueled further diversification. The dynamic between predator and prey during this period laid the groundwork for complex food webs and ecological interactions in marine habitats. While trilobites and Anomalocaris illustrate the diversity among invertebrates, the Cambrian seas also witnessed the pioneering emergence of vertebrate ancestors. These early vertebrates were significantly different from the invertebrate majority, distinguished by possessing a notochord, a flexible rod-like structure that provided skeletal support and would become a hallmark of spinal development. Although these primordial vertebrates were small and simple in form, lacking the extensive vertebral column and jaws that characterize later fish, their evolutionary importance cannot be overstated. Fossil evidence from sites such as the Burgess Shale reveals creatures like Pangaea, a primitive chordate, and one of the earliest known animals exhibiting a dorsal notochord and muscle segmentation. Pangaea likely swam gracefully through the Cambrian seas, moving with undulating lateral motions. Its presence represents the dawn of a lineage that would produce all vertebrates, including fishes, amphibians, reptiles, and mammals. Alongside Pangaea were other early chordates and possible protovertebrates, whose features illuminate the gradual acquisition of traits that defined the vertebrate body plan. The rise of vertebrate ancestors coincided with profound changes in marine chemistry and ecology, facilitating the increase in complexity and diversity of life. Their evolutionary innovations, such as more efficient locomotion and sensory capabilities, granted them advantages in survival and adaptation. As their lineages progressed, vertebrates developed specialized structures like jaws and paired fins, which opened up new ecological opportunities. Beyond these well-known figures, the Cambrian seas were populated by a vast, often surprising array of organisms. Soft-bodied worms, early echinoderms resembling sea stars, primitive mollusks, and the enigmatic halkyrids with their armored scales contributed to a vibrant prehistoric marine world. Microbial mats and stromatolites persisted, albeit in changing abundance, continuing to weave the fabric of ancient oceanic ecosystems. Our understanding of life in ancient seas relies heavily on exceptional fossil sites, such as the Burgess Shale in Canada and the Chengjiang Biota in China. These deposits exquisitely preserve soft-bodied organisms that are rarely fossilized, offering rare glimpses into the anatomy and diversity of early animals. Through these windows into deep time, we witness the astonishing variety of life forms that thrived hundreds of millions of years ago. The transition from simple life forms to complex marine ecosystems was a monumental chapter in Earth's history, one characterized by innovation, adaptation, and survival amidst an ever-changing environment. The story of trilobites, Anomalocaris, and the first vertebrates portrays a world animated by evolutionary creativity. As we proceed, the next great evolutionary adventure beckons. The move of life onto land, driven by the evolution of plants and the first tetrapods. But before we reach those terrestrial horizons, it is essential to fully appreciate the vibrant seas where life's complexity truly began to flourish. As the Paleozoic era progressed, life that had long thrived exclusively in marine environments began an extraordinary transition, the gradual movement onto land. This monumental shift fundamentally transformed Earth's ecosystems and set the stage for the rich biodiversity we observe today. The conquest of land was not a single event, but a complex, gradual process that involved the evolution of both plants and animals, two kingdoms that would forever alter terrestrial landscapes and establish new ecological dynamics. Before diving into the evolution of early land plants and animals, it's important to recognize the challenge that terrestrial environments posed to life. Unlike the buoyant, aqueous world of the seas, land presented harsh conditions, including exposure to sunlight and ultraviolet radiation, desiccation or drying out, temperature fluctuations, and the need for structural support against gravity. To survive and thrive outside water, organisms had to develop novel adaptations to cope with these obstacles. The initial colonizers of terrestrial habitats were plants. Around 470 million years ago, during the Ordovician period, simple photosynthetic organisms began to take hold on land. These earliest terrestrial plants were likely small, moss-like bryophytes, akin to modern liverworts and mosses. Without true roots or vascular tissue, they depended on moist environments, relying on water films to transport nutrients and for reproduction through swimming sperm. However, over millions of years, plants evolved complexity that allowed them to extend their reach further inland and adapt to drier and more variable conditions. The development of vascular tissues, xylem and phloem, enabled the efficient transport of water, minerals, and sugars throughout the plant, facilitating greater size and structural integrity. This advancement culminated in the rise of the vascular plants during the Silurian and Devonian periods, roughly between 430 and 360 million years ago. One of the earliest well-known vascular plants was Cooksonia, a simple branching plant with sporangia or spore-producing structures atop its tiny stalks. Its rigid stems marked a significant evolutionary milestone, allowing it to grow upright and compete more effectively for sunlight. Over time, plants diversified into multiple lineages, including lycophytes, horsetails, and early ferns, all developing an array of reproductive and structural features such as true leaves, roots, and spores adapted for dispersal on land. Alongside these botanical pioneers, the terrestrial environment began to welcome the earliest tetrapods, vertebrates with limbs rather than fins, precursors to all land-dwelling vertebrates including amphibians, reptiles, birds, and mammals. The move from water to land was primarily an aquatic to amphibious transition, requiring adaptations that allowed these animals to breathe air, support their bodies without buoyancy, and navigate a completely different physical and chemical environment. Early tetrapods evolved from lobe-finned fishes, particularly from groups related to the Sarcopterygians during the late Devonian period, approximately 300 to 75 million years ago. Fossils such as Tiktaalik rosea provide a remarkable glimpse into this transition. Tiktaalik possessed a combination of fish-like and tetrapod-like features: fins with rudimentary wrist bones capable of bearing weight, a flat head with eyes positioned on top, and a neck that allowed head movement independent of the body. These adaptations suggest a lifestyle that involved both swimming in shallow waters and venturing onto land to forage or avoid predators. The genetic and developmental innovations behind limb formation and lung ventilation were crucial in this evolutionary leap. Early tetrapods needed lungs or lung-like structures to extract oxygen from the air, while robust limbs and girdles were necessary to move across substrates. These anatomical transformations opened ecological opportunities previously inaccessible, such as exploiting terrestrial prey and habitats devoid of aquatic competitors. During the Carboniferous period, around 360 to 300 million years ago, tetrapods diversified and terrestrial ecosystems became richer and more complex. The era is often called the Age of Amphibians, as many amphibian-like creatures dominated landscapes, flanked by dense forests of giant lycophytes, horsetails, and ferns. These expansive, swampy environments provided ample food and moisture, crucial for the reproduction of many amphibians dependent on water for breeding. The relationship between plants and animals in early terrestrial ecosystems was intimate and interdependent. Plants stabilized soils and provided shelter and food sources, while animals contributed to nutrient cycling and possibly aided in spore dispersal. Together, they shaped terrestrial ecosystems that weathered climatic and environmental shifts, setting important ecological foundations. The transition to land was neither smooth nor instantaneous. It was marked by numerous evolutionary experiments and setbacks. Many early tetrapods remained tied to water for reproduction or larval stages, highlighting the continued dependency on aquatic environments. However, these early pioneers paved the way for the later evolution of fully terrestrial vertebrates, capable of reproducing and thriving on land. In sum, the conquest of land by plants and tetrapods during the late Paleozoic was a defining moment in life's history. It required profound anatomical and physiological innovations and resulted in the transformation of Earth's biosphere. This transition made possible the vast diversity of land plants and animals that followed, culminating millions of years later in the world we inhabit today. In our next exploration, we will delve deeper into the ecosystems of the Carboniferous period, where giant insects and amphibians roamed lush, swampy environments, illustrating the continuing evolution of terrestrial life and the complexity of prehistoric ecosystems. The Carboniferous period, spanning from approximately 359 to 299 million years ago, is often regarded as one of the most captivating epochs in Earth's history due to its remarkable ecosystems dominated by gigantic insects and amphibians thriving in sprawling, swampy forests. Situated between the Devonian and Permian periods, the Carboniferous was a time of lush vegetation, widespread coal-forming wetlands, and significant evolutionary advancements that set the stage for future terrestrial life. One of the defining features of the Carboniferous was the vast coal swamps that blanketed equatorial regions of the planet. These swampy forests were dominated by towering lycophyte trees, giant horsetails, and a variety of primitive ferns, some growing to incredible heights compared to their modern descendants. The abundant vegetation not only contributed to the formation of extensive coal deposits we mine today, but also provided complex habitats and nourishment for a diverse array of animal life. Among these animals, the Carboniferous is renowned for the astonishing size of its insects. The fossil record reveals species with dimensions unheard of in modern times, a direct consequence of unique physiological and environmental factors prevailing in this period. The most notable among these colossal insects was Meganeura, a genus of giant dragonfly-like insects boasting wingspans that could reach up to 70 centimeters, nearly 2.5 feet. These enormous insects patrolled the prehistoric skies, preying on smaller arthropods and perhaps even early amphibians. Why were insects so large during the Carboniferous? One of the primary reasons lies in elevated atmospheric oxygen levels that are estimated to have peaked at about 35%, significantly higher than today's 21%. Insects rely on passive diffusion of oxygen through their tracheal respiratory systems, and this abundance of oxygen enabled them to grow larger because the supply could meet the demands of their tissues more effectively. This oxygen-rich environment fostered energetic lifestyles and larger body sizes that would later become impossible as oxygen levels declined. Alongside these giant insects, the Carboniferous landscape saw a remarkable diversity of amphibians. These early tetrapods had already begun their transition from aquatic habitats during the Devonian, but the Carboniferous was their golden age. These amphibians exhibited a stunning variety of forms, from small salamander-like creatures to large crocodile-sized predators. Early amphibians were dependent on moist environments for reproduction since their eggs required water, or at least very humid conditions to prevent desiccation. Consequently, the swampy, humid forests of the Carboniferous provided an ideal habitat. Many amphibians continued to return to the water for breeding, but increasingly complex respiratory systems, including lungs and also skin respiration, supported more extended terrestrial activity. Some of the most fascinating amphibians of this time belonged to the Temnospondyli, a large and diverse group that ranged broadly in size and ecological niche. Certain species reached lengths over 2 meters, adopting predators' roles in their watery realms. Others were adapted for life on land, with sturdy limbs and robust skeletal structures. These amphibians were likely the dominant vertebrate predators in many ecological zones, filling niches that would later be taken over by reptiles. Not only were amphibians important predators, but they also played crucial roles in carbon cycling and energy flow within Carboniferous ecosystems. By feeding on the abundant invertebrates and smaller vertebrates, they regulated populations and maintained ecological balance. Some amphibians even exhibited early signs of parental care and social behaviors, suggesting that with time, increasingly complex lifestyles were evolving. The Carboniferous also witnessed critical evolutionary developments that would influence the future of vertebrates. The appearance of early amniotids, vertebrates capable of laying eggs on land with specialized membranes to prevent drying, marked a significant departure from amphibian reproductive constraints. Although these early amniotes were small and overshadowed by dominant amphibians and giant insects, they foreshadowed the rise of reptiles and eventual domination of terrestrial vertebrate faunas in the Permian and beyond. Plant life, too, underwent diversification. The Carboniferous marked the peak abundance of giant lycophytes like lepidodendron, which could grow over 30 meters tall with broad trunks covered in scale-like leaves. These, along with ferns and seed ferns, pteridosperms, created dense, multi-layered forests that modulated climate, stabilized soils, and formed extensive organic deposits. These ecosystems, complex and interdependent, illustrate a world dramatically different from today. The global climate was generally warm and humid, conditions that favored the proliferation of both plant and animal life. Oxygen fluctuations and carbon sequestration contributed to climatic feedbacks that would influence Earth's atmosphere for millions of years. The Carboniferous is not merely a nostalgic snapshot of prehistoric grandeur, but a testament to evolutionary experimentation and ecological innovation. Giant insects like Meganeura showcase the sometimes surprising outcomes of environmental conditions, while the diversity of amphibians reveals the adaptive complexity that vertebrates could achieve prior to the dominance of reptiles. As we prepare to uncover the next stage in Earth's ancient history, we will witness the emergence of the first true reptiles during the Permian, as the planet's continents shifted into supercontinents and life adapted once again to changing climates and landscapes. The story of Carboniferous ecosystems, rich with giant insects and amphibians, thus stands as a vital chapter bridging aquatic origins and the terrestrial dramas that would follow. As we segue from the lush Carboniferous period, marked by gigantic insects and formidable amphibians, into the Permian period, the stage was set for profound geological and biological transformations. The Permian, spanning from approximately 299 to 252 million years ago, was an era where both Earth's continents and its life forms underwent significant reshaping. Central to this transformation was the formation of the supercontinent Pangaea and the rise of the first true reptiles, land vertebrates whose evolutionary innovations paved the way for the eventual domination of reptiles through the Mesozoic era. The tectonic dramas of the Permian culminated in the assembly of Pangaea, a colossal supercontinent that united nearly all of Earth's land masses into a single continuous expanse. This monumental fusion altered global climate patterns, ocean currents, and habitats. The vast interior of Pangaea, often located far from the moderating influence of oceans, experienced extreme temperatures and arid conditions, giving rise to expansive deserts. Meanwhile, coastal regions and the peripheries of the supercontinent remained more hospitable, fostering diverse ecosystems. This continental reconfiguration drove an environmental mosaic that demanded new adaptive strategies from terrestrial inhabitants. Organisms thriving in the warm, humid climates of the late Carboniferous faced increased seasonal variability and drought effects. The evolving arid landscapes encouraged the emergence of flora and fauna better adapted to dry conditions. In response, flora developed adaptations such as thickened cuticles to reduce water loss, and many seed plants, including early conifers and seed ferns, diversified and expanded their ranges. Biologically, the Permian ushered in the rise of the first true reptiles, which evolved from earlier amphibian-like tetrapods. Unlike their amphibian predecessors, these reptiles possessed key adaptations that allowed them greater independence from aquatic environments, enabling them to exploit the increasingly dry continental interiors. The most critical of these adaptations was the development of the amniotic egg. The amniotic egg contained specialized membranes and a protective shell that prevented desiccation while allowing gas exchange, effectively liberating early reptiles from the need to return to water to reproduce. This evolutionary breakthrough was revolutionary, as it opened terrestrial habitats previously inaccessible to amphibians, constrained by their reproductive requirements. The embryonic membranes, the amnion, chorion, allantois, and yolk sac, not only provided moisture and protection, but also facilitated nutrient absorption and waste management, innovations that underpin much of modern vertebrate reproductive biology. Early reptiles, often small and lizard-like, belonged to a diverse grouping called the Eureptiles, true reptiles. Among the earliest known examples are members of the genus Hylonomus, discovered in Pennsylvanian age, late Carboniferous, deposits roughly 315 million years old, making them some of the earliest definitively identified reptiles. These animals were agile and primarily insectivorous, thriving in undergrowth and leaf litter. In concert with the emergence of true reptiles, synapsids, the group that would eventually give rise to mammals, expanded during the Permian. Often colloquially referred to as mammal-like reptiles, these synapsids were not true reptiles, but formed a separate lineage of amniotes, characterized by unique skull features and jaw musculature. Groups such as the pelycosaurs, and later the more advanced therapsids, dominated the terrestrial vertebrate fauna, encompassing an array of forms from sprawling carnivores to large herbivores. Ecologically, the Permian landscapes were marked by the interplay of these diverse groups, with synapsids often occupying apex predator roles, while true reptiles and amphibians filled various niches. The adaptive versatility of reptiles, including their advanced limb structure, scales that minimized water loss, and the ability to thermoregulate more effectively, made them increasingly successful in the drying climates and fluctuating environments of Pangaea. Floral ecosystems co-evolved alongside these animals, with gymnosperms, cone-bearing seed plants, rising to prominence. Conifers, cycads, and ginkgos diversified, forming forests that differed distinctly from the swampy Carboniferous flora. These plants' tougher leaves and reproductive strategies aligned well with drier conditions. They offered new food sources and habitats, influencing herbivore evolution. Permian seas also experienced evolutionary developments, though the focus here remains on terrestrial realms. Marine ecosystems underwent faunal turnovers and diversification in groups such as ammonoids, brachiopods, and early fish, reflecting dynamic environmental changes. Despite this flourishing diversity, the Permian would culminate with one of the most catastrophic events in Earth's history, the End-Permian mass extinction, which wrought profound losses across marine and terrestrial life. But the groundwork in the Permian, through the formation of supercontinents and biological innovations, including the advent of true reptiles, was foundational for the evolutionary journeys that followed. Understanding the Permian is key to appreciating how environmental pressures drive innovation and diversification. The supercontinent Pangaea redefined global habitability, while the first true reptiles demonstrated how evolutionary adaptations could unlock vast new ecological frontiers. As we move beyond the Permian and into the aftermath of extinction events, we will witness a dramatic rebound in life forms, with archosaurs emerging as dominant groups, ultimately leading us into the age of dinosaurs and their incredible reign over our planet. The End-Permian mass extinction, often called the Great Dying, marks the most devastating biological crisis in Earth's history. Occurring approximately 252 million years ago, this catastrophic event brought about profound and widespread losses across nearly every known ecosystem, reshaping the evolutionary trajectory of life and setting the stage for new eras of adaptation and diversification. To truly understand this Earth's greatest crisis, we must explore its causes, scope, and lasting legacy. The Permian period, preceding this extinction, was already a time of significant environmental change. The supercontinent Pangaea dominated the globe, bringing with it varied climates, from arid inland deserts to warm, shallow epicontinental seas. While many groups thrived, such as synapsids, mammal-like reptiles, early reptiles, and diverse marine invertebrates, The fragile balance of these ecosystems was increasingly strained. The End-Permian extinction event unfolded over tens of thousands to perhaps a few 100,000 years, an abrupt instant in geological terms. It obliterated approximately 90 to 96% of marine species and around 70% of terrestrial vertebrate species. Such wholesale devastation is unparalleled, wiping out entire families and disrupting ecological networks fundamentally. Key victims of the extinction included the trilobites, ancient marine arthropods whose lineage, thriving for over 270 million years, came to a definitive end. Reef-building organisms such as tabulate and rugose corals vanished, dramatically altering marine habitats. Many brachiopods, mollusks, and goniatite ammonoids also suffered massive declines or total extinction. On land, dominant Permian synapsids, which had been the apex predators and large herbivores of their day, faced severe losses, allowing for the later rise of archosaurs and the dinosaur lineage. The causes of the End-Permian extinction are complex and likely multifactorial, though one of the primary drivers was massive volcanic activity concentrated in what is now Siberia. The Siberian Traps, a vast flood basalt province formed by extensive lava flows and intrusions, released enormous quantities of volcanic gases into the atmosphere and oceans. These gases included carbon dioxide and sulfur dioxide, which triggered rapid climate warming and acid rain, respectively. This volcanic outgassing caused a cascade of environmental effects. Elevated carbon dioxide levels led to global greenhouse warming, with temperatures rising to levels unsuitable for many organisms. Oceanic oxygen levels plummeted in what is known as anoxia, suffocating marine life adapted to oxygen-rich environments. Ocean acidification further hampered survival, particularly affecting calcifying organisms that built shells or skeletons. Methane release from destabilized methane hydrate deposits on the ocean floor may have accelerated warming due to methane's potency as a greenhouse gas, intensifying the crisis. Additionally, disruptions to the carbon cycle and nutrient availability destabilized ecosystems, limiting recovery potential. Evidence also suggests shifts in sea levels and salinity, alongside increased ultraviolet radiation due to ozone layer depletion, contributed to widespread stress on both marine and terrestrial life. The combined effect was a planet-wide environmental upheaval that defied survival for vast swaths of Earth's biota. The extinction's aftermath was marked by ecological collapse. Many habitats were left barren, especially reefs and forests, with simplified ecosystems dominated by opportunistic or surviving species. It took millions of years for biodiversity to recover fully, and when it did, the winners often differed dramatically from the pre-extinction inhabitants. Among the evolutionary survivors were early archosaurs, the group that would give rise to crocodiles, pterosaurs, and finally dinosaurs. Their rise can be seen as part of the Permian Paleogene recovery that set the Mesozoic era on a path to dominance. For marine ecosystems, new groups of bivalves, gastropods, and modern coral families eventually filled the ecological niches left vacant. The End-Permian extinction thus represents both a dramatic ending and a pivotal new beginning. It reminds us of the delicate balance within Earth's systems and the impact of rapid environmental change. The extinction also underscores the resilience of life, capable of rebounding with ever-evolving forms and strategies. As we move forward to examine the Triassic rebound and the dawn of archosaurs, we will see how life, after enduring Earth's greatest crisis, seized new opportunities to flourish and diversify in a changed world, heralding the age of reptiles and the eventual rise of dinosaurs. Following the unparalleled catastrophe of the End-Permian mass extinction, life on Earth faced a critical crossroads. As ecosystems collapsed and species vanished at an unprecedented scale, the planet entered a period of ecological vacuum and upheaval. Yet, from this crucible of destruction emerged a remarkable evolutionary resurgence known as the Triassic rebound, which set the stage for the rise of archosaurs, the ruling lizards, and birthed the dawn of a new age in Earth's history. The Triassic period, spanning from about 252 to 201 million years ago, witnessed a profound recovery and radiation of life forms, albeit in a dramatically altered environmental and geographical context. The supercontinent Pangaea still dominated, though its interior continued to experience harsh, seasonal climates, with hot, arid conditions in many regions creating ecological pressures favoring adaptability and innovation. In the wake of mass extinction, a variety of organisms sought to fill empty ecological niches. Early synapsids, the so-called mammal-like reptiles, continued to persist, but it was the archosaurs who notably capitalized on the opportunities presented by this new world. Archosaurs, meaning ruling reptiles, encompassed a diverse group of diapsid reptiles characterized anatomically by features like antorbital and mandibular fenestrae, openings in the skull, which allowed for lighter and stronger jaws, as well as erect limb postures enabling more efficient locomotion. The evolutionary ancestry of archosaurs traces back to earlier reptiles that had begun diverging prior to the Permian extinction, but only in the Triassic did they truly flourish and diversify. This group eventually gave rise to the crocodilians, pterosaurs, and importantly, the dinosaurs. Appearing by the late Triassic and destined to dominate terrestrial ecosystems for millions of years. Among the earliest archosaurs were the Rauisuchians, large carnivorous quadrupeds that often attained apex predator status across Triassic environments. These formidable reptiles showcased robust limbs and powerful jaws, asserting dominance in ecosystems recovering from the extinction's devastation. Though impressive, Rauisuchians would eventually be eclipsed by the more agile and diverse dinosaurs. Simultaneously, the first true dinosaurs appeared as relatively small, bipedal archosaurs. Early taxa, such as Herrerasaurids, exhibit features that foreshadow the incredible adaptive radiation to come. These dinosaurs were initially minor players in the Triassic ecosystems, but evolved rapidly, exploiting new niches and exhibiting variations in size, diet, and locomotion. The Triassic seas also experienced significant evolutionary developments, including the diversification of marine reptiles such as ichthyosaurs and nothosaurs, although their rise would accelerate into the Jurassic. The terrestrial flora adapted as well. Gymnosperms like cycads, ginkgos, and conifers formed extensive forests, supporting complex food webs that included herbivorous tetrapods. Interestingly, the Triassic period was a dynamic time of evolutionary experimentation. Multiple groups, some now extinct, explored new body plans and lifestyles. For instance, etosaurs were heavily armored herbivorous archosaurs, while phytosaurs, superficially resembling modern crocodiles, occupied semi-aquatic predator niches. This experimentation reveals how life rebounded creatively from mass extinctions, reinventing itself through natural selection. The legacy of the Triassic rebound was not simply ecological, but evolutionary, a crucial pivot point where the groundwork was laid for the Mesozoic's iconic reptilian dominion. Archosaurs' anatomical innovations, metabolic advancements, and reproductive strategies endowed them with the versatility to thrive both on land and in water. In summary, the Triassic rebound encapsulates life's resilience and its capacity to evolve anew after profound disruption. The dawn of the archosaurs signaled the arrival of a reptilian lineage whose descendants would achieve astonishing diversity and dominance. This period, full of ecological dramas and evolutionary breakthroughs, bridges the devastation of the Permian with the lush biological tapestry of the Jurassic and Cretaceous. As we continue our journey, the next chapter unfolds with early archosaurs giving rise to the first true dinosaurs, creatures whose dominance, adaptations, and ecology would captivate the world for millions of years to come. Emerging from the dynamic and diverse environment of the late Triassic, the evolutionary story of archosaurs unfolds further as we trace their transformation into the first true dinosaurs. This crucial transition marks a cornerstone in the history of life, giving rise to creatures that would dominate terrestrial ecosystems for over 160 million years, setting the stage for the Mesozoic era's famed Age of Dinosaurs. Archosaurs, meaning ruling reptiles, already exhibited remarkable adaptations that equipped them for success in the ecological niches opened after the Permian extinction. Their anatomical advancements, such as more erect limb postures, openings in the skull to lighten and strengthen jaw structures, and efficient respiratory systems, offered advantages in mobility, metabolism, and predation. As Triassic ecosystems grew increasingly complex, archosaurs diversified into various lineages, including the ancestors of crocodilians, pterosaurs, and dinosaurs. The origin of dinosaurs within this archosaur radiation began around 230 million years ago, during the late Triassic. Early dinosaurs were relatively small and likely bipedal, traits that distinguished them from their contemporaneous archosaur relatives. This smaller size, paired with agility, may have been pivotal in their initial ecological success, enabling them to exploit a range of environments and dietary strategies. Fossil evidence from formations such as the Ischigualasto and Chinle in South America is invaluable in illuminating this breakthrough. Among the earliest known dinosaurs is Herrerasaurus, a formidable predator measuring roughly 6 meters in length, which combined primitive and derived features. Its skeletal structure displayed a blend characteristic of early dinosaurs, a flexible yet strong spine, sharp claws, and impressive jaws, demonstrating evolutionary experimentation as the group adapted to terrestrial life. Alongside Herrerasaurids, early herbivorous and omnivorous dinosaur lineages began to emerge, such as Eoraptor and Plateosaurus. These taxa hint at the diverse dietary possibilities that dinosaurs soon embraced, from carnivory to browsing on the lush Triassic vegetation dominated by ferns, horsetails, and gymnosperms. This dietary versatility was likely a key factor in their expanding ecological role. Close relatives of dinosaurs within the broader archosaur group included the etosaurs and phytosaurs, forms representing evolutionary experiments during this interval, with adaptations for armor and aquatic lifestyles respectively. While these groups were successful for a time, their eventual decline paved the way for the dinosaurs' expansion and dominance. The rise of dinosaurs was not instantaneous, but rather a gradual shift influenced by climate changes, faunal turnovers, and interspecific competition. The End-Triassic mass extinction, occurring around 201 million years ago, critically affected many archosaur lineages and other reptiles, reducing competition and ecological barriers. This event allowed dinosaurs to rapidly increase in diversity and geographic spread, especially during the subsequent Jurassic period. Another fascinating aspect is the evolution of dinosaur locomotion and physiology. The erect limb posture unique to dinosaurs reduced energy expenditure during movement and enabled sustained activity, possibly linking to elevated metabolic rates. Some paleontologists propose that these traits contributed to the eventual development of endothermy, or warm-bloodedness, though this remains a topic of ongoing research. Furthermore, the diversification of dinosaur lineages into Saurischia, lizard-hipped, and Ornithischia, bird-hipped groups highlights the evolutionary pathways shaping their anatomy and ecology. These two clades encompass virtually all later dinosaur diversity, including the fearsome theropods like Tyrannosaurus rex and gentle herbivorous giants like Triceratops. Environmental reconstructions suggest that early dinosaurs inhabited varied landscapes, river valleys, woodlands, and semi-arid plains, reflecting their adaptability. Their success in dispersing across the Pangaean supercontinent underscores a capacity for colonization and ecological exploitation. In conclusion, the journey from early archosaurs to the first true dinosaurs is a narrative of evolutionary innovation driven by environmental shifts, competitive interactions, and anatomical refinements. This transition heralded the rise of an extraordinarily diverse and ecologically significant group that would shape terrestrial life for the subsequent 160 million years. As our exploration proceeds, the Jurassic period awaits, an era when dinosaurs would rise to unmatched dominance, diversifying into myriad forms that continue to captivate scientists and enthusiasts alike. As we journey into the Jurassic period, spanning from about 201 to 145 million years ago, we witness the ascendance of dinosaurs from their modest origins in the late Triassic to become the undisputed rulers of both land and sea. The Jurassic marks a pivotal chapter in Earth's biological tapestry, characterized by an explosion of dinosaur diversity, extraordinary adaptations, and ecological dominance that would continue throughout the Mesozoic era. The Jurassic begins in the aftermath of the End-Triassic extinction event, which cleared many ecological competitors and left terrestrial environments ripe for exploitation. Dinosaurs, already established as a group by the late Triassic, rapidly diversified and expanded into myriad niches. Their success was underpinned by a combination of physiological, anatomical, and behavioral traits that gave them unprecedented advantages over other vertebrates. One of the hallmarks of Jurassic dinosaurs was their remarkable size range, from small, agile predators a few meters long to colossal giants that dwarfed even modern elephants. Sauropods, those iconic long-necked herbivorous giants like Brachiosaurus and Diplodocus, emerged prominently during this time. These massive herbivores evolved specialized adaptations such as elongated neck vertebrae to reach high vegetation, columnar limbs to support enormous weight, and efficient respiratory systems, possibly involving air sacs, similar to those found in modern birds. Alongside sauropods, theropods, primarily carnivorous dinosaurs, also flourished. This group included early relatives of the infamous Tyrannosaurus rex, though Jurassic theropods tended to be smaller and more diverse in form and behavior. From swift predators like Quilophysis to larger, more formidable hunters such as Allosaurus, theropods occupied critical predator roles and showcased diverse hunting strategies and social behaviors. Parallel to these prominent groups, ornithischian dinosaurs, the so-called bird-hipped herbivores, began to diversify. Stegosaurs, with their characteristic rows of plates and spiked tails like Stegosaurus, and early ancestors of ceratopsians, the horned dinosaurs, made their appearance. These herbivores developed specialized teeth and jaws for processing tough, fibrous plant material and defensive adaptations to fend off predation. The vegetation during the Jurassic supported this rich dinosaurian ecosystem. Vast coniferous forests, cycads, ginkgos, and ferns created complex plant communities. The warm, humid climate and high atmospheric oxygen levels contributed to prolific plant growth, sustaining expansive herbivore populations, which in turn supported diverse carnivores. Ecologically, Jurassic dinosaurs displayed complex interactions, including predator-prey dynamics, competition, and possibly social behaviors. Evidence from trackways, nesting sites, and bone beds suggests at least some species lived and possibly hunted or foraged in groups. Parental care and territoriality may have been present, contributing to their evolutionary success. Marine and aerial ecosystems also experienced flourishing diversity during the Jurassic. Large marine reptiles such as plesiosaurs and ichthyosaurs patrolled oceans, while early pterosaurs took to the skies, many evolving excellent flight capabilities and diverse feeding strategies. These contemporaneous ecosystems created a rich interplay between terrestrial and aquatic realms. The Jurassic period is thus a time when dinosaurs evolved from comparatively marginal Triassic forms into the dominant vertebrates of terrestrial ecosystems worldwide. Their adaptations and success stories echo through the fossil record and captivate modern science and public imagination alike. As we continue our exploration, the succeeding Cretaceous period beckons. It is an era where dinosaurs would reach new pinnacles of diversity and innovation, encountering new ecological challenges and opportunities as flowering plants reshaped landscapes and novel dinosaur forms evolved strange shapes and strategies that would intrigue and mystify future generations. As the Jurassic period advanced, the Earth was a realm of extraordinary biological innovation and ecological expansion, where not only the land but also the seas and skies came alive with astonishing diversity. This epoch, lasting from about 201 to 145 million years ago, represented a remarkable flourishing of marine reptiles, the debut and radiation of the first true flying vertebrates, the pterosaurs, and the continued domination and diversification of dinosaurs on land. Together, they painted a vivid picture of Mesozoic life, each realm intricately connected yet unique in its evolutionary pathways. The Jurassic seas were dominated by a group of formidable reptiles that evolved to conquer the aquatic environment with remarkable adaptations. Chief among these were the ichthyosaurs, plesiosaurs, and pliosaurs, lineages that demonstrate multiple evolutionary solutions to life in the oceans. Ichthyosaurs resembled modern dolphins in body shape, a stunning example of convergent evolution in response to marine life. Streamlined for speed and agility, they possessed powerful tails, large eyes adapted for deep diving and keen vision, and long snouts filled with sharp teeth for catching fish and cephalopods. Fossil evidence reveals that ichthyosaurs gave birth to live young, a significant reproductive adaptation to fully marine life, removing the need to return to land for egg-laying. Plesiosaurs, on the other hand, developed a completely different approach. Characterized by broad bodies, short tails, and powerful paddle-like limbs, they thrived as slow but maneuverable swimmers. Plesiosaurs' iconic long necks supported relatively small heads, giving them the ability to stealthily snap up prey in the water. Pliosaurs, a subgroup of plesiosaurs, evolved larger heads and more robust bodies, becoming apex marine predators akin to modern orcas. These marine reptiles occupied diverse ecological niches, from nearshore shallow waters to deeper open seas, often targeting varied prey such as fish, ammonites, and smaller marine reptiles. Their presence significantly influenced marine food webs and illustrates the robust adaptive radiation in Jurassic oceans. Meanwhile, over the Jurassic skies, the very first vertebrate conquerors of the air established themselves: pterosaurs. Emerging in the late Triassic, but reaching remarkable diversity and specialization in the Jurassic, pterosaurs were the earliest known flying vertebrates, predating birds by tens of millions of years. Their anatomy featured lightweight, hollow bones, a membranous wing stretched primarily along an elongated fourth finger, and adaptations for flight that allowed them to soar above both land and sea. Pterosaur diversity ranged from small insectivorous forms to giants like Quetzalcoatlus, with wingspans exceeding 10 meters, rivaling the largest modern aircraft. They likely occupied varied lifestyles, including soaring pelagic predators, forest-dwelling insect hunters, and possibly scavengers. Their flight capabilities and varied ecologies contributed to their success and broad geographic distribution. On land, dinosaurs continued to reinforce their position as dominant terrestrial vertebrates. The Jurassic served as a pinnacle age for dinosaurian evolution, seeing both the soaring gigantism of herbivorous sauropods and the diverse predatory strategies of theropods. Sauropods like Brachiosaurus possessed tremendous size and specialized skeletal and respiratory adaptations to support their massive bodies and long necks, enabling them to browse from treetops in forested Jurassic landscapes. Theropods diversified in size and form, from agile predators like Allosaurus to the fearsome Ceratosaurus. These carnivores likely employed sophisticated hunting strategies, including pack behavior, keen senses, and swift locomotion. Among herbivores, stegosaurs appeared and thrived, their plated backs and spiked tails providing both defense and visual display. The Jurassic vegetation, dominated by conifers, cycads, ferns, and ginkgos, formed complex plant communities that sustained herbivorous dinosaurs and shaped their evolution. The interplay of predators and herbivores created intricate ecosystems characterized by dynamic food webs and coevolutionary relationships. In addition to these dominant groups, other vertebrates such as early mammals and crocodilomorphs were also present, mostly small and overshadowed by dinosaurian giants, but significant in their evolutionary roles. Overall, the Jurassic seas, skies, and land represent a remarkable ecological tapestry woven from ancient evolutionary threads. Marine reptiles demonstrated the convergence of fish-like forms with distinct reptilian lineages. Pterosaurs marked vertebrates' bold leap into powered flight. Dinosaurs further diversified and laid the groundwork for their long reign. Together, these realms highlight the wondrous experimentation and adaptability of life during the Jurassic, a prelude to even more complex ecosystems to come. 2. As our exploration continues, we will enter the Cretaceous, where dinosaurs diversified further, odd shapes appeared, and new strategies to survive and thrive emerged amidst a changing world shaped by flowering plants and evolving climates. The Cretaceous period, spanning roughly from 145 to 66 million years ago, represents a time when dinosaurs reached the pinnacle of their evolutionary experimentation. During these approximately 80 million years, dinosaurs exhibited an extraordinary array of body shapes, sizes, and ecological strategies that dazzled the prehistoric world and continue to captivate us today. It was an era marked not only by familiar giants like Tyrannosaurus and Triceratops, but also by strange and innovative forms that embodied new survival strategies, pushing the limits of adaptation. As the Cretaceous began, continental drift was well underway, breaking apart the vast supercontinent Pangaea into smaller landmasses. This geographic fragmentation created numerous isolated habitats and environmental niches, fostering specialization and diversification among dinosaur groups. Varied climates, from tropical to temperate zones, combined with widespread flowering plant radiation, helped reshape ecosystems and food webs. Among theropods, the carnivorous lineage that includes the ancestors of birds, the Cretaceous is noted for its remarkable diversity and specialization. Small, agile predators evolved alongside gigantic apex hunters. One notable example is the velocity-driven dromaeosaurs, or raptors. Measuring from a few feet to several meters in length, these feathered hunters sported sickle-shaped claws and keen senses optimized for stalking prey. Their advanced social behaviors and possible pack hunting strategies provide glimpses into complex predator-prey dynamics. Larger theropods, such as Tyrannosaurus rex, dominated as apex predators. Tyrannosaurs were robust, with massive skulls equipped with powerful jaws and serrated teeth, able to crush bone. As Cretaceous giants, they replaced earlier large predators like allosaurs. Parallel to them, the ceratosaurians and spinosaurids occupied other niches, with spinosaurids adapted for semi-aquatic life, evidenced by crocodilian-like jaws and diets possibly including fish. Ornithischian dinosaurs, the diverse bird-hipped herbivores, also flourished spectacularly. Ceratopsians like Triceratops grew large and heavily frilled, bearing formidable horns that likely served in defense, species recognition, and social interaction. Hadrosaurs, or duck-billed dinosaurs, evolved specialized beaks and dental batteries, enabling efficient chewing of tough vegetation. Some had elaborate cranial crests, potentially used for sound production or display. Another fascinating group is the ankylosaurs, armored dinosaurs characterized by heavy osteoderms and tail clubs, which provided formidable protection against predators. Pachycephalosaurs, known for their thick, domed skulls, may have engaged in head-butting displays or combat, though their precise behaviors remain subjects of research and debate. Cretaceous dinosaur diversity is also notable for unusual and bizarre forms. Therizinosaurs, for example, sported long-clawed forelimbs and a bulky, feathered body, suggesting herbivorous adaptations divergent from their carnivorous relatives. Their claws may have been used for defense or foraging. Similarly, the oviraptorosaurs exhibited unique skull crests and sophisticated nesting behaviors. Dinosaur communities responded to their botanical environment as well. The rapid spread of angiosperms, flowering plants, offered new diets and habitats. Herbivorous dinosaurs co-evolved with flowering plants, affecting each other's evolutionary paths. This mutual shaping of land vegetation and dinosaur adaptations fundamentally transformed terrestrial ecosystems. Beyond morphology and diet, behavioral innovations also characterized Cretaceous dinosaurs. Evidence from nests, trackways, and bone beds indicate parental care, herd behavior, and even possible complex communication. Such behaviors may have been key to their survival and reproductive success in dynamic environments. Interestingly, despite their dominance, challenges persisted. Fluctuations in climate, competition with other groups, and ecosystem disturbances tested dinosaur resilience and adaptability. Yet their diverse forms and strategies showcase the remarkable capacity of life to explore evolutionary possibilities. From aerial hunters and armored tanks to gentle giants and mysterious feathered figures. In summary, the Cretaceous period stands as a testimony to the evolutionary ingenuity of dinosaurs. Their strange shapes and new strategies illustrate a climax of adaptation and diversification rarely rivaled in the history of life. This era's rich tapestry sets the scene for the dramatic finale at the period's close, leading to an extinction event that altered life's future forever. Looking ahead, we will explore the flowering of angiosperms and the shifting landscapes of the Cretaceous, revealing how plants and dinosaurs intertwined to create a world of transformative ecological change. As we move through the vibrant tapestry of the Cretaceous period, an extraordinary transformation in Earth's biosphere unfolds with the flowering of angiosperms, or flowering plants. This botanical revolution played a profound role in shaping Cretaceous ecosystems and dramatically influenced the evolutionary paths of numerous animal groups, including the dinosaurs. The rise of angiosperms not only altered the physical landscape, but also triggered cascading ecological changes that heralded a new era of life on Earth. Angiosperms represent the most diverse group of land plants today, but their origins lie deep in the Cretaceous, roughly around 130 million years ago. Before their emergence, terrestrial vegetation was dominated predominantly by gymnosperms, such as conifers, cycads, and ginkgos, as well as ferns and other seedless plants. These earlier plants, while significant in their own right, formed landscapes that were structurally and functionally distinct from the flowering plant-rich ecosystems that would come to dominate later. Flowering plants brought remarkable innovations to plant reproduction. Their flowers, which are essentially specialized organs for sexual reproduction, enabled more efficient and diverse strategies for pollination. By enticing insects and other animals with nectar, pollen, and colorful displays, angiosperms established mutualistic relationships that enhanced their reproductive success. This biotic pollination contrasted with the mainly wind-driven pollination of gymnosperms and allowed angiosperms to colonize a variety of habitats rapidly. The Cretaceous landscape increasingly blossomed with a myriad of flowering plant species, ranging from small herbs to towering trees. This diversification led to the formation of new types of forests, meadows, and shrublands, fundamentally altering soils, light availability, and nutrient cycles. These changes in vegetation also influenced erosion patterns and climate by affecting transpiration and carbon fixation. For herbivorous dinosaurs, the proliferation of angiosperms provided novel and abundant food sources. Some hadrosaurs, for example, evolved specialized dentitions to process the tough leaves, flowers, and fruits of these plants. The evolutionary arms race between plants and herbivores accelerated, with angiosperms developing defensive chemicals, thorns, and rapid growth strategies to survive herbivory. Meanwhile, dinosaurs adapted with new feeding strategies, digestive adaptations, and social behaviors to cope with changing diets. The rise of angiosperms also indirectly influenced predators and scavengers by shaping the dynamics of herbivore populations and the complexity of ecosystems. Additionally, the diversification of insects during the Cretaceous paralleled the flowering plant radiation. Pollinators such as bees, butterflies, and beetles evolved intricate relationships with angiosperms. These insects became vital links in food webs, serving as food for a myriad of vertebrates and contributing to ecosystem stability and complexity. Beyond the biological, the Cretaceous geological and climatic framework facilitated these changes. Fragmentation of continents continued, creating isolated pockets of evolution and varied regional climates. Warm temperatures, elevated atmospheric CO2, and high sea levels produced lush environments conducive to angiosperm expansion. Coastal plains, river deltas, and island archipelagos became hotspots for speciation. These botanical and ecological revolutions are preserved in the fossil record, with exquisitely preserved leaves, pollen grains, and wood pieces documenting the rise and diversification of flowering plants. Fossilized amber often captures insects and plant resins, providing a window into these ancient ecosystems and the intricate relationships within them. As angiosperms altered the structure and function of landscapes, they helped transform Earth's ecosystems in a way that ultimately shaped the evolutionary trajectory, not only of plants, but of many animal lineages, including dinosaurs. Their spread influenced landscape formation that persisted into the Cenozoic and beyond, underpinning the modern terrestrial biosphere. In the following sections, we will explore how such ecological changes influenced dinosaur social behavior, adaptations, and ecology, setting the natural world on a path toward complexity and diversity that continues to fascinate us today. As we delve into the behavior, adaptations, and ecological roles of dinosaurs, we enter a realm of dynamic interaction and evolutionary ingenuity that breathes life into these long-extinct creatures. Far from being solitary or purely instinct-driven beasts, recent paleontological discoveries illuminate a world where many dinosaurs exhibited complex social behaviors, distinct ecological adaptations, and intricate relationships within their environments. This multifaceted picture helps us understand not only how dinosaurs survived and thrived, but also how they shaped the ecosystems they inhabited. Social behavior among dinosaurs appears to have been more common and sophisticated than previously believed. Fossil evidence, such as extensive trackways and bone beds, indicates that certain species, particularly herbivorous dinosaurs like hadrosaurs and ceratopsians, lived and moved in herds. These groupings likely provided advantages such as protection against predators, cooperative care of young, and improved foraging efficiency. For example, the well-studied hadrosaurids constructed nesting colonies along ancient floodplains, suggesting parental investments and communal nesting behaviors akin to some modern birds and reptiles. Communication played a vital role in social organization. Many dinosaurs possessed structures, such as the elaborate cranial crests of Lambeosauran hadrosaurs or the ornate horns and frills of ceratopsians, that may have served as visual displays for attracting mates, signaling danger, or establishing dominance hierarchies. These features imply an evolutionary pressure not only for physical defense, but also for social signaling. Recent findings on the inner ear structures and cranial anatomy of some theropods suggest they could produce low-frequency sounds or even complex vocalizations, comparable in some ways to calls among crocodilians and birds. Beyond sociality, the diverse anatomical adaptations of dinosaurs reveal their specialized ecological roles. Carnivorous theropods evolved a spectrum of forms suited to different hunting strategies, from the swift pursuit predators like dromaeosaurs with their sharp claws and stalk and pounce tactics, to massive apex predators such as Tyrannosaurus rex, equipped with bone-crushing bites. Some smaller theropods developed feathers not just for insulation, but possibly also for display or brooding, indicating a complex interplay of physiology and behavior. Herbivorous dinosaurs, meanwhile, evolved specialized dentition and digestive systems to process the diverse vegetation of their eras. Hadrosaurs, often dubbed duck-billed dinosaurs, developed intricate dental batteries with hundreds of teeth, capable of grinding tough plant material efficiently. Ceratopsians also sported strong beaks and dental batteries, allowing them to exploit various plant resources. Their body structures supported wide ranges of movement and foraging behaviors, from grazing low-lying plants to browsing higher vegetation. Ecologically, dinosaurs occupied a broad array of niches across terrestrial landscapes. From desert environments to dense forests, from plains to floodplains, they adapted to diverse climates and food webs. The coevolution of plants and dinosaurs during the rise of angiosperms created new opportunities and challenges, influencing dietary adaptations and behavioral patterns. Moreover, fossilized skin impressions and recent biomolecular analyses reveal insights into dinosaur physiology and thermoregulation. Some species show evidence of integumentary structures, early feathers or filamentous protofeathers, that undoubtedly contributed to temperature regulation and, perhaps, social signaling. This suggests that certain dinosaurs might have exhibited a spectrum of metabolic rates from ectothermy, cold-bloodedness, to forms of endothermy, warm-bloodedness, supporting active lifestyles and complex behaviors. Dinosaur ecology also encompassed predator-prey relationships, competition, migration, and environmental impact. The discovery of massive track sites suggests seasonal migrations occurred in some species, allowing them to exploit different habitats and resources while avoiding harsh climates or predators. Such behaviors imply cognitive abilities and social coordination. Understanding dinosaur social behavior, adaptations, and ecology thus paints a nuanced picture of creatures no longer mere fossils, but once vibrant and interactive inhabitants of their worlds. They were not only shaped by their environment, but actively shaped it in turn, affecting plant distributions, nutrient cycles, and even soils. Their legacy is one of evolutionary brilliance and complexity. As we proceed, this deepening knowledge sets the stage for examining how some of these theropod dinosaurs gave rise to birds, raptors transformed into the masters of the skies, ushering in a new chapter of prehistoric life and the rise of avian diversity. The story of birds, those graceful creatures that fill our skies today, traces back deep into the Mesozoic era, springing from a surprising evolutionary source: the theropod dinosaurs. This remarkable transition from ground-dwelling predators to masters of flight represents one of the most fascinating chapters in the history of life on Earth. From tiny feathered hunters to the avian diversity that decorates the modern world, the evolution of birds from theropod dinosaurs illustrates profound anatomical, physiological, and behavioral transformations across millions of years. Theropods, the bipedal carnivorous dinosaurs that ranged from swift runners to towering predators, are now widely recognized as the ancestors of birds. This connection was solidified in the late 20th century through important fossil discoveries and advances in comparative anatomy, particularly the evidence of feathers and bird-like skeletal features in small theropods, such as Velociraptor and the iconic Archaeopteryx. Archaeopteryx, dating from the late Jurassic about 150 million years ago, stands as a transitional fossil, exhibiting both dinosaurian features: teeth, clawed fingers, a long bony tail, and avian characteristics like feathers and wings. Its discovery was a watershed moment, illuminating the link bridging reptiles and birds. Archaeopteryx was capable of powered flight, or at least gliding, though its flight abilities were likely primitive compared to modern birds. Feathers evolved initially not for flight, but possibly for insulation, display, or brooding. Early theropods possessed filamentous or downy feathers, which provided warmth and visual signaling. Over time, feathers grew more complex, developing asymmetry crucial for aerodynamic function. This gradual refinement of plumage unlocked new adaptive potentials, including gliding and sustained powered flight. Bellwethers in this evolutionary saga include Maniraptoran theropods, a group known for their bird-like characteristics such as a semi-lunate carpal, wrist bone, that allowed wing folding, hollow bones to reduce weight, and advanced respiratory systems. Such anatomical modifications supported increased agility and metabolic capability, prerequisites for flight. Beyond anatomy, behavioral shifts played a role. Nesting behaviors, parental care, and complex vocalizations are seen in both early birds and their theropod relatives, suggesting that social complexity and reproductive strategies evolved hand in hand with flight adaptations. The Cretaceous period saw an immense diversification of birds, both primitive and more modern forms. Confuciusornis and enantiornithines, for example, highlight a range of ecological niches, from agile tree dwellers to shorebirds. Meanwhile, the lineage leading to modern birds, neornithines, emerged, possessing features that allowed them to survive the cataclysmic Cretaceous-Paleogene extinction event. The evolutionary journey from theropod dinosaur to modern bird underscores nature's innovative trajectory, a narrative of gradual modifications sculpted by natural selection. Flight not only opened new realms, but also dictated changes in sensory systems, metabolism, and life history strategies. Today's birds are vibrant heirs to this deep heritage, embodying evolutionary achievements that began millions of years ago under the shadows of their dinosaur ancestors. their story continues as a living testament to life's enduring capacity for transformation and adaptation. As we continue, we will explore the reign of giant marine reptiles and prehistoric crocodilomorphs, highlighting the remarkable diversity of prehistoric reptiles beyond the dinosaurs and further enriching our understanding of Earth's ancient past. During the Mesozoic era, while dinosaurs ruled the terrestrial realms, the seas were dominated by an equally impressive and diverse assemblage of giant marine reptiles. From the vast serpentine ichthyosaurs gliding through the oceans with dolphin-like agility to the powerful plesiosaurs and formidable mosasaurs, these prehistoric marine reptiles carved out their ecological niches and ruled the prehistoric waters. Alongside them, the evolutionary lineage of crocodilians, the crocodilomorphs, thrived in various forms, showcasing remarkable adaptability and providing connections between marine, freshwater, and terrestrial habitats. One of the earliest and most iconic groups was the ichthyosaurs, which appeared in the Triassic and flourished through much of the Jurassic. These reptiles evolved streamlined fish-shaped bodies optimized for fast swimming, complete with powerful tails and fins. With gigantic eyes adapted for deep and low-light vision, ichthyosaurs efficiently hunted fish and cephalopods. Unlike modern reptiles, they gave birth to live young in the water, allowing a completely aquatic lifestyle. Their diversity ranged from relatively small forms to giant predators reaching several meters in length. Plesiosaurs were another spectacular group, famous for their broad bodies, long necks, and flipper-like limbs. Adapted for underwater flight, plesiosaurs used their paddle-like limbs to maneuver gracefully as they hunted their prey. Some species had enormously elongated necks, enabling stealthy approaches, while others developed shorter, more robust necks and massive heads, such as pliosaurs, which were powerful apex predators capturing large fish, other marine reptiles, and ammonites. In the late Cretaceous, a different group called mosasaurs rose to dominance. Descended from terrestrial squamates, mosasaurs evolved into formidable marine predators with elongated bodies, strong jaws lined with sharp teeth, and powerful paddle-like limbs. They thrived in the shallow inland seas, controlling marine food webs until their extinction near the end of the Cretaceous. Parallel to these grand marine reptiles was the evolutionary journey of crocodilomorphs, an immensely successful group closely related to modern crocodiles. Originating in the late Triassic, primitive crocodilomorphs rapidly diversified in morphology and lifestyle. Early forms ranged from agile terrestrial runners to semi-aquatic ambush predators. Throughout the Jurassic and Cretaceous, crocodilomorphs adapted to a wide variety of habitats, including fully marine environments. Marine crocodilomorphs, such as thalattosuchians, developed adaptations for life in open waters, including paddle-shaped limbs and tail structures aiding swimming efficiency. These predators occupied ecological niches somewhat similar to those of ichthyosaurs and plesiosaurs, but represented a distinct evolutionary pathway, showcasing convergent evolution in response to aquatic life. Some Jurassic crocodilomorphs grew to impressive sizes and displayed reinforced skulls and teeth for hunting large prey. Land-dwelling crocodilomorphs also thrived, evolving body forms ranging from armored herbivores like the notosuchians to fast-running, slender-snouted predators. Their diversification illustrates ecological flexibility, ensuring their survival through multiple mass extinctions and allowing their descendants, modern crocodiles and alligators, to continue into our era. The ecological interactions among these marine reptiles were complex and dynamic. Food web studies indicate that ichthyosaurs, plesiosaurs, mosasaurs, and marine crocodilomorphs occupied various trophic levels, preyed upon fish, ammonites, smaller marine reptiles, and even each other. This competition likely spurred evolutionary arms races, leading to diverse adaptations like reinforced jaws, specialized teeth, and advanced sensory abilities. Fossil evidence from famous sites such as the Solnhofen limestone in Germany, the chalk deposits of Europe, and the western interior seaway of North America provides rich windows into this ancient marine drama. Exceptional preservation of skeletons, occasionally with soft tissues, allows scientists to reconstruct not only anatomy, but also behavior and ecology. In summary, the reign of giant marine reptiles and prehistoric crocodilomorphs reflects a flourishing era of vertebrate evolution in aquatic settings during the Mesozoic. These reptiles, though distinct from dinosaurs, shared the era's dynamic spirit of adaptation and evolutionary innovation. Their legacies persist today in the crocodilians of our rivers and lakes, and their ancient stories continue to inspire awe as we unravel the mysteries of life beneath prehistoric oceans. Coming next, we will explore the mammals of the Mesozoic, the small, often overlooked but resilient survivors living in the shadows alongside dinosaurs, who set the stage for life's triumphant radiation after the fall of the mighty reptiles. While dinosaurs reigned supreme during the Mesozoic era, an often overlooked yet fascinating story unfolds in their shadows, that of the small mammals who survived, adapted, and quietly thrived alongside their colossal reptilian contemporaries. These early mammals were not the giants or the dominant creatures of their time, but their resilience and evolutionary innovations set the foundation for the mammalian radiation that would follow after the age of dinosaurs. Mammals first emerged during the late Triassic period, roughly 225 million years ago, evolving from synapside ancestors known as therapsids. These early mammaliforms exhibited several distinctive features that differentiated them from reptiles, such as differentiated teeth, incisors, canines, molars, a more efficient jaw joint, and likely endothermy, warm-bloodedness. Although initially small, typically no larger than modern rodents, they displayed remarkable adaptability in various ecological niches. Throughout the Jurassic and into the Cretaceous, mammal diversity slowly increased, but their sizes generally remained modest. They existed mostly as small, nocturnal insectivores or omnivores, lifestyles that likely helped them avoid direct competition and predation from dominant dinosaurs. Fossil evidence from areas such as the Morrison Formation and the Liaoning Province in China reveals jaw fragments, teeth, and even impressions of fur that provide insights into their biology and habits. The evolutionary success of these Mesozoic mammals hinged on several key adaptations. Their relatively large brains and acute senses, including enhanced olfaction and hearing, would have been advantageous for nocturnal survival. The development of hair or fur not only offered thermal insulation, but also may have played roles in sensory perception and social signaling. Reproductive strategies likely included live birth in some lineages, a significant shift from egg-laying that increased juvenile survival rates. Ecologically, early mammals occupied a range of niches: arboreal bug-eaters, small burrowers, and possibly some semi-aquatic forms. They were integral components within Mesozoic ecosystems, providing both predatory control over insect populations and serving as prey for larger carnivores. Their evolutionary experiments in physiology and behavior, though subtle compared to dinosaurian grandeur, were crucial. Despite their quiet existence, mammals were not static. The Cretaceous period saw the emergence of more specialized groups, including multituberculates, an ancient order resembling rodents in both form and ecological role, and early relatives of placentals and marsupials. These groups exhibited varied dentition and dental specialization, allowing them to exploit plant materials and insects effectively. The nocturnal lifestyle of early mammals, often suggested as a behavioral adaptation to avoid dinosaur predation and competition, may have driven the evolution of their sensory abilities and metabolic rates. This evolutionary niche differentiation not only ensured their survival, but also primed mammals for ecological expansion following the mass extinction event at the end of the Cretaceous. Moreover, fossil discoveries continue to reveal surprising complexity in Mesozoic mammal biology. Some species displayed dietary flexibility, dietary specialization, and even evidence of parental care, nest building, and social structures. These attributes foreshadow the remarkable mammalian radiation and diversification that would reshape ecosystems in the ensuing Cenozoic era. In reflecting on the existence of mammals in the shadows of dinosaurs, we appreciate a testament to life's resilience and patience. Though these early mammals might have seemed inconspicuous amidst dinosaurs' towering presence, they harbored evolutionary potential that would eventually lead to the domination of mammals in a post-dinosaur world. Our journey now approaches a great turning point, the Cretaceous-Paleogene extinction event, a cataclysm that ended the reign of non-avian dinosaurs and opened new doors for mammalian evolution and the rich ecosystems we recognize today. The Cretaceous-Paleogene extinction event, commonly abbreviated as the KPG extinction and historically known as the Cretaceous Tertiary (KT) extinction, stands as one of the most profound and transformative moments in Earth's biological history. Occurring approximately 66 million years ago, it marked the abrupt disappearance of around 75% of all species, including the iconic non-avian dinosaurs, ushering in an end to the Mesozoic era and catalyzing the rise of mammals and eventually the modern ecosystems we recognize today. The lead-up to this extinction saw a dynamic and diverse world rich with life. Dinosaurs flourished on land, while oceans teemed with marine reptiles, and skies were dominated by pterosaurs and early birds. Flowering plants had diversified broadly, reshaping terrestrial landscapes and food webs. However, this biological richness made the impending catastrophe all the more impactful. The predominant scientific consensus identifies a massive asteroid or comet impact as the primary catalyst for the KPG extinction. The evidence centers on the discovery of a layer of sediment enriched with iridium, a rare element on Earth but common in extraterrestrial objects, found worldwide at the KPG boundary. Most notably, the Chicxulub crater buried beneath the Yucatan Peninsula in Mexico corresponds with this timing. The impact, estimated to be about 10 to 15 kilometers in diameter, unleashed energy equivalent to billions of atomic bombs, causing immediate and catastrophic environmental effects. The immediate aftermath of the impact included a towering tsunami, intense wildfires fueled by ejected debris raining down globally, and an impact winter, where dust and aerosols blocked sunlight for months or years. This lack of sunlight halted photosynthesis, leading to the collapse of primary food chains both on land and in the oceans. Acid rain and toxic gases further degraded habitats, while temperature fluctuations made the climate highly unstable. These combined stresses provoked a rapid and extensive die-off. Non-avian dinosaurs, despite their evolutionary success over millions of years, were unable to survive these sudden environmental upheavals. Many marine reptiles, ammonites, and various plankton groups also vanished. However, some groups fared better. Modern birds, small mammals, amphibians, and certain reptiles survived, often due to ecological flexibility, smaller body size, or life habits less dependent on photosynthesis-based food webs. Fossil records show a rapid decline in biodiversity at the boundary, followed by an extended recovery period spanning millions of years. The extinction opened ecological niches that had been occupied by dominant groups like dinosaurs and large marine reptiles. This void allowed mammals, which had previously lived in relative obscurity, to diversify rapidly and flourish in the Paleogene period that followed. The KPG extinction thus represents both a cataclysmic end and a foundational new beginning. It was a pivotal reset, after which ecosystems transitioned to fundamentally different compositions, structures, and dynamics. Mammalian lineages evolved into diverse forms, from tiny shrew-like creatures to the ancestors of primates and ultimately humans. In marine environments, modern groups of fish, mollusks, and corals radiated to fill vacant niches. Additionally, flowering plants continued their ascent, influencing the new terrestrial landscapes and their inhabitants. The extinction shaped the evolutionary trajectory of life, emphasizing adaptability, resilience, and ecological innovation. Understanding the Cretaceous-Paleogene extinction is vital not only for paleontology, but also for insights into present-day biodiversity and environmental challenges. It underscores how abrupt global disruptions can have lasting biological and geological consequences, and reminds us of life's remarkable capacity to rebound and reinvent itself. Our journey now advances into the Paleogene period, where the mammalian radiation and the evolution of new ecological niches shape the modern biosphere, heralding a new era of life after the fall of the dinosaurs. The mass extinction event that closed the Cretaceous period marked a profound and irrevocable transformation in Earth's biosphere. With the sudden loss of dominant groups such as non-avian dinosaurs, marine reptiles, and many other taxa, an extraordinary opportunity emerged for new life forms to radiate, diversify, and reshape the ecological fabric of the planet. This post-extinction world ushered in the mammalian radiation, a flourishing of mammals into the vast, newly vacated niches, and a reorganization of ecosystems that would forever alter the trajectory of life. In the Paleogene period that followed, spanning roughly from 66 to 23 million years ago, mammals experienced an evolutionary explosion. Prior to this time, during the Mesozoic, mammals had been predominantly small, nocturnal creatures restricted by the ecological dominance of dinosaurs. Their survival strategies hinged upon exploiting insectivorous or omnivorous niches with limited competition. But with the decline of large terrestrial reptiles, the path was clear for mammals to expand in size, diversity, and ecological role. Early Paleogene mammals evolved a bewildering array of body plans and lifestyles. From tiny shrew-like insectivores to large herbivores and carnivores, mammals occupied virtually all available niches. Groups such as the multituberculates continued, while new radiations of marsupials and placentals emerged, each exploring unique adaptations. This period saw the advent of hoofed mammals, primate ancestors, carnivorous creodonts, and numerous other forms, reflecting an unprecedented adaptive radiation. The diversification of mammals coincided with significant climatic and environmental fluctuations. Early Paleogene climates were generally warm and humid, but gradually cooled and became more variable, fostering the development of new habitats such as grasslands and open woodlands. Mammals adapted to these changing environments through enhanced locomotion, dietary specialization, and social behaviors, carving out new evolutionary paths. Ecologically, mammals began to influence terrestrial ecosystems profoundly. As herbivores, they shaped vegetation through grazing and browsing, impacting plant community structures and nutrient cycling. As predators, they established novel food web dynamics, sometimes replacing or coexisting with the remaining reptilian predators. The interactions among mammals and other vertebrates, including birds and reptiles, fostered complex ecosystems characterized by specialization and interdependence. In aquatic environments, marine mammals evolved from terrestrial ancestors, adapting to life in the seas. early whales and pinnipeds began to appear in the Paleogene, marking the initial steps of mammals reclaiming marine niches once held by extinct reptiles. The mammalian radiation was not simply a passive response to extinction, but also a story of innovation and evolutionary invention. Advances in brain size and complexity, reproductive strategies, including placental development, and improved sensory and locomotor capabilities equipped mammals to explore new ecological possibilities. Concurrently, plant communities also evolved in this new world, with grasses spreading widely and angiosperms continuing to diversify. These botanical changes further influenced mammalian evolutionary trajectories, fueling herbivore diversification and subsequently shaping predator-prey relationships. This era, often called the Age of Mammals, laid the foundation for modern ecosystems. It witnessed the emergence of many mammalian orders that survive today and established ecological patterns still evident across the planet. In the Cenozoic epochs that followed, mammals continued their evolutionary adventures, giving rise to extraordinary forms ranging from the terror birds and giant mammals of the Paleogene and Neogene to the diverse fauna of the Quaternary. This mammalian ascendancy highlights life's resilience and capacity for renewal. Our exploration now leads us to these iconic species and landscapes, the terror birds and giant mammals, the shifting continental positions, and the climatic transformations that sculpted the Cenozoic. Together, these stories frame the dynamic and ever-changing saga of life on Earth. The Cenozoic era, often hailed as the Age of Mammals, unfolds as a dramatic saga of life rebounding and reshaping itself after the extinction events that marked the boundary of the Mesozoic. Spanning from about 66 million years ago to the present, this era witnessed the rise of mammals to ecological dominance and the emergence of extraordinary forms such as the terror birds, giant mammals, and a dynamic reshuffling of continents that forever altered the planet's biogeography. Following the disappearance of the non-avian dinosaurs, mammals embarked on a rapid and spectacular evolutionary radiation. Freed from the constraints of Mesozoic dominance by reptiles, they diversified into an expansive array of sizes, shapes, and niches. From modest, shrew-like creatures that scurried in the shadows, mammals evolved colossal species, some standing several meters tall and weighing multiple tons. Among these remarkable creatures were the so-called terror birds, or Forus resides, a lineage of large, flightless carnivorous birds that dominated many ecosystems in South America for tens of millions of years during the Paleogene and Neogene periods. Standing up to 3 meters tall, these formidable predators possessed powerful hooked beaks, long legs adapted for rapid pursuit, and keen sensory abilities. Terror birds filled apex predatory roles in the absence of large mammalian carnivores, preying on a variety of animals and exhibiting behaviors parallel to modern large raptors, albeit terrestrial and flightless. Simultaneously, giant mammals evolved across multiple lineages and continents. The Cenozoic mammalian giants included massive proboscideans, such as mammoths and mastodons, enormous ground sloths with specialized claws and robust builds, towering rhinoceratoids and brontotheres, and the giant prehistoric ungulates like Uintatheres, with impressive horns and tusks. These megafaunal species adapted to a wide range of environments, from sprawling forests and open plains to tundra-like habitats, illustrating the diverse ecological opportunities that arose during this era. The continents themselves underwent significant shifts during the Cenozoic. The breakup of the supercontinent Pangaea continued with substantial drift, leading to the isolation and collision of land masses. For example, the formation of the Isthmus of Panama about 3 million years ago connected North and South America, enabling the Great American Biotic Interchange. This event facilitated migrations of species such as bears, cats, and dogs into South America, and opossums and armadillos into North America, profoundly influencing mammalian evolution and diversity on both continents. Tectonic activity also led to orogenies, or mountain-building events, including the uplift of the Himalayas and the Rockies. These geological changes impacted global climate patterns and habitats, initiating glacial cycles and creating new niches. Climatic fluctuations fostered evolutionary pressures that shaped faunal adaptations, such as thicker fur or migratory behaviors in mammals. Ecologically, the interactions between these giant mammals, terror birds, and other taxa were complex and often competitive. The presence of large herbivores influenced vegetation patterns through grazing and browsing, while predators, avian and mammalian alike, exerted top-down control on prey populations. These interrelationships formed dynamic ecosystems with profound balance and occasional perturbations. In island ecosystems, unique evolutionary experiments unfolded, such as the dwarfing of large mammals due to resource limitations and the emergence of unusual species like the marsupial lions in Australia, highlighting the intricate connections between geography and evolution. The Cenozoic's enduring legacy also includes the eventual decline of many megafaunal species during the late Pleistocene, a phenomenon attributed to climatic shifts, human activity, or a combination thereof. This marked the conclusion of one phase of large vertebrate dominance, paving the way for the familiar modern faunas. Overall, the era of terror birds, giant mammals, and shifting continents underscores the dynamic interplay between life and Earth's changing forces. The evolution of these majestic species reflects nature's capacity for adaptation, innovation, and resilience in the face of shifting environmental challenges. In the next chapter, we will explore how reptilian giants, crocodiles, serpents, and turtles re-emerged and diversified after the extinction of dinosaurs, continuing the grand story of prehistoric life and its influence on modern ecosystems. Following the dramatic extinction at the close of the Cretaceous, which brought the age of non-avian dinosaurs to an abrupt end, a fascinating resurgence and diversification of reptilian lineages unfolded during the Cenozoic era. This epoch witnessed the return and evolutionary flourishing of giant reptiles that had once held dominion in the Mesozoic seas and landscapes: crocodiles, serpents, turtles, and other reptiles. These reptiles not only reclaimed vital ecological roles, but also pushed the boundaries of adaptation in new and often surprising directions, contributing richly to the tapestry of prehistoric and modern ecosystems. Crocodilians stand as one of the most iconic and enduring groups of reptiles that survived the end Cretaceous extinction. Though their Mesozoic ancestors were diverse and widespread, many crocodiliforms perished alongside other reptiles during the extinction's turmoil. However, a subset persisted, soon diversifying into the families that underpin today's crocodiles, alligators, caimans, and gharials. Early Cenozoic crocodilians grew impressively large, with some forms, like the Eocene's Deinosuchus, reaching lengths exceeding 10 meters. Deinosuchus earned its name, meaning terrible crocodile, by being an apex predator capable of preying not only on ancient turtles and fish, but also on dinosaurs in their twilight years. Its massive jaws, armored body, and aquatic ambush strategies exemplify the evolutionary continuity and expansion of crocodilian prowess into the new era. The diversity of crocodilomorphs during the Cenozoic extended far beyond today's mostly semi-aquatic lifestyles. Some extinct crocodiliforms adapted to terrestrial habitats, developing longer limbs and more agile builds, while others excelled in fully marine environments, echoing the niches once dominated by mosasaurs and other marine reptiles. Parallel to crocodilians, Serpents experienced a remarkable radiation in the aftermath of the dinosaur extinction. Derived from now extinct lizard ancestors, snakes evolved a bewildering array of forms adapted to terrestrial, arboreal, and even marine lifestyles. Early Cenozoic deposits reveal large marine snakes, such as the Paleophyidae, which exploited oceanic niches previously occupied by marine reptiles. On land, constrictors and venomous snakes developed specialized hunting strategies, vibrantly illustrating adaptability. Turtles, whose lineage also extends back to the Mesozoic and earlier, demonstrated their own restart and diversification across the Cenozoic. Both freshwater and marine turtles expanded into new regions with innovations in shell morphology and feeding strategies. Marine turtles, ancestors of today's sea turtles, evolved to become efficient swimmers capable of long migrations and deep diving. Terrestrial tortoises proliferated in varied landscapes, contributing to plant community dynamics by seed dispersal and foraging. Environmental changes during the Cenozoic, including global cooling trends, fluctuating sea levels, and the formation of new land bridges, shaped reptilian evolution. These changing habitats forced reptiles to adapt to both expanding and contracting environments, favoring flexibility in diet, locomotion, and reproductive strategies. The resurgence of reptilian giants after the dinosaurs' fall redefined predator-prey dynamics in aquatic and terrestrial ecosystems alike. Crocodilians frequently occupied roles as ambush predators at the top of aquatic food chains, influencing fish, mammal, and bird populations. Large constricting snakes or venomous species became significant predators in terrestrial systems, sometimes competing with mammalian carnivores. Moreover, the resurgence of these reptiles reflects broader evolutionary themes: survival through mass extinction, ecological opportunism, and morphological and behavioral innovation. Their success underscores reopening and reshaping of evolutionary avenues that enrich Earth's biodiversity. Today, the descendants of these ancient reptilian giants continue to inhabit our world. Crocodiles lurking in rivers and swamps, turtles swimming in oceans and wandering lands, and snakes gliding silently through a myriad of habitats. Their evolutionary story is a living testament to the resilience and adaptability of life. Next, we will delve into the rise of modern birds, exploring how survivors of the dinosaur lineage expanded into diverse avian worlds, connecting the ancient past to our contemporary skies. The rise of modern birds represents a thrilling chapter in the story of life, tracing the evolutionary journey of avian species from their theropod dinosaur ancestors to the astonishing diversity of forms gracing our skies today. As survivors of the catastrophic Cretaceous-Paleogene extinction, modern birds evolved innovations that allowed them not only to endure, but to flourish and occupy a wide spectrum of ecological niches across the globe. Birds are the sole living descendants of a group of small, feathered theropod dinosaurs that began developing the essential features of flight in the late Jurassic and early Cretaceous periods. These early avians inherited traits such as lightweight, hollow bones, feathers for insulation, display, and eventually aerodynamic function, and a high metabolic rate supporting active lifestyles. Over tens of millions of years, this lineage refined their flight capabilities, respiratory efficiency, and sensory systems. Following the dramatic extinction event 66 million years ago, which ended the reign of non-avian dinosaurs, the avian survivors were poised to exploit the massive ecological vacancies left behind. Diverse foundational lineages of modern birds, termed neornithines, emerged and quickly diversified. They radiated into an extraordinary array of forms, from small, agile songbirds to powerful raptors and aquatic specialists, adapting to varied diets, habitats, and behaviors. One of the keys to their success was the evolution of the modern bird's distinctive skeletal and muscular arrangements, such as a keeled sternum for powerful flight muscle attachment, a fused hand and wrist structure for wing rigidity, and an efficient respiratory system involving air sacs. These adaptations facilitated sustained, energy-efficient flight, enabling birds to migrate vast distances, colonize remote islands, and adapt to global environments. Modern birds also exhibit highly specialized beak morphologies and feeding strategies, from the probing bills of shorebirds to the strong hooked beaks of raptors, reflecting their diverse ecological roles. Many developed complex behaviors, including elaborate mating displays, vocal communication, and sophisticated parental care. The fossil record, particularly rich from the Paleogene onward, documents the gradual accumulation of these modern avian features. Transitional fossils reveal combinations of primitive and derived traits, illustrating the mosaic nature of bird evolution. Molecular studies have further refined avian phylogeny, clarifying relationships among groups and emphasizing rapid diversification around the Cretaceous-Paleogene boundary. Ecologically, birds play vital roles as pollinators, seed dispersers, predators of insects and small animals, and elements of food webs worldwide. Their capacity for flight, combined with sensory acuity, also contributes to their remarkable adaptability, allowing responses to environmental change and human impacts. Today, birds number over 10,000 species, inhabiting virtually every ecosystem. Their success story, born from ancient dinosaur ancestors, encapsulates themes of survival, innovation, and evolutionary refinement. They connect the prehistoric past to the present, acting as living reminders of Earth's vast and vibrant biological heritage. As our journey through prehistoric life continues, we will turn our attention to the broader legacies of ancient organisms, how the prehistoric past shapes modern ecosystems, and how ongoing discoveries constantly refine our understanding of Earth's deep history. The echoes of ancient life resonate powerfully within the ecosystems we see today, revealing a prehistoric legacy that continues to shape the planet's biodiversity, ecological dynamics, and evolutionary potential. From the microscopic origins of life billions of years ago to the rise and fall of dinosaurs and other prehistoric giants, the biological innovations and environmental transformations of Earth's past have left enduring imprints that govern how modern ecosystems function, adapt, and evolve. At the core of this legacy is the fundamental principle of evolutionary continuity. Many modern organisms, be they plants, animals, or microorganisms, are direct descendants of prehistoric lineages that weathered countless environmental shifts, extinctions, and radiations. Traits and adaptations developed deep in Earth's history persist, refined over epochs yet still visible, sometimes surprisingly, in the physiology and behavior of today's species. Consider the impact of ancient plants that first colonized land during the Paleozoic. The structural adaptations of vascular plants set the stage for contemporary forests, grasslands, and wetlands, providing the physical framework and resources that sustain vast webs of life. The rise of angiosperms in the Cretaceous revolutionized terrestrial ecosystems, influencing herbivore diets and pollinator relationships that endure as foundational ecological interactions. Animal legacies are equally profound. The evolutionary experiments of prehistoric vertebrates, from early fishes with jaws to the sophisticated physiologies of dinosaurs, form the blueprint of modern vertebrate biology. Birds, as living theropod dinosaurs, embody the finest continuity, while mammals exemplify the triumph of adaptive radiation following mass extinction. Moreover, the geological activities linked to ancient life, such as the creation of oxygen-rich atmospheres by early photosynthetic bacteria and plants, have crucially enabled the complexity and size of modern multicellular organisms. Ecosystem engineering by prehistoric species, like the coral builders of ancient reefs or the burrowing activities of early invertebrates, shaped habitats that persisted and evolved, influencing community structures today. Ecological roles and niches witnessed in fossil assemblages inform present-day understanding of species interactions, resilience, and vulnerability. Patterns of extinction and radiation from prehistory guide conservation biology by highlighting traits that predispose species to risk or success. For example, understanding how ancient climate shifts affected biodiversity provides context for assessing contemporary anthropogenic impacts. Ancient symbioses, mutually beneficial relationships spanning millions of years, continue in modern ecosystems, such as the pollination partnerships between flowering plants and insects. Similarly, predator-prey dynamics refined over vast timescales influence behavior and population regulation within current fauna. Finally, the fossil record and prehistoric narratives inspire science and culture, emphasizing the deep temporal dimension of life and urging stewardship of Earth's ongoing biological richness. Paleontology's advancements continually uncover new chapters, revealing unknown species and surprising evolutionary links, enriching our comprehension of life's complex history. In essence, the prehistoric legacies etched into modern ecosystems underscore a profound message. Life on Earth is a continuum of adaptation, innovation, and interconnectedness. These enduring foundations invite us to appreciate the intricate beauty and fragility of our world while inspiring future exploration and conservation efforts. As we reach the horizon of this exploration, we turn to ongoing discoveries in paleontology, where each new find uncovers mysteries that deepen our understanding of prehistoric life and its enduring influence on the living planet. Paleontology, the scientific study of life's ancient past through fossil evidence, continues to be a vibrant and groundbreaking field, constantly unveiling new chapters in Earth's vast and intricate history. Each fossil discovered, each layer of sediment examined, adds nuance and depth to our understanding, fueling a never-ending quest to unravel the mysteries of prehistoric life. This relentless exploration bridges the past and present, connecting us with creatures, ecosystems, and events long vanished but still shaping our world. Recent technological advances have revolutionized paleontological research, enabling detailed reconstructions and novel insights that were once unimaginable. Techniques such as high-resolution CT scanning allow scientists to peer inside fossilized bones and amber-entombed specimens without damaging them, revealing internal structures like brain cavities, soft tissues, and even cellular details. This has led to extraordinary discoveries, for instance, uncovering brain sizes and sensory capabilities of dinosaurs, or the intricate plumage and coloration patterns of feathered species. Molecular paleontology also advances rapidly, analyzing preserved biomolecules, proteins, and pigments extracted from fossils, and shedding light on evolutionary relationships and physiology. Though DNA rarely survives over millions of years, fragments recovered from exceptionally preserved specimens illuminate connections between extinct species and their living descendants, offering clues to traits such as metabolism, development, and even disease susceptibility. Field discoveries across the globe continue to expand the known diversity of prehistoric life. Fossil sites such as China's Liaoning Province, Mongolia's Gobi Desert, the Burgess Shale in Canada, and the extensive African hominin localities keep yielding new taxa, exceptional soft tissue preservation, and evidence of behaviors such as nesting, hunting, and social interactions. Each find challenges existing paradigms, sometimes rewriting evolutionary timelines or revealing previously unknown ecological dynamics. Interdisciplinary collaborations between paleontologists, geologists, chemists, and biologists foster integrative approaches to solving ancient puzzles. For example, understanding mass extinction events benefits from this synergy, linking fossil data with isotopic analyses and climate modeling to reconstruct environmental stresses and biotic responses. Such integrated research underpins predictions of how current biodiversity might respond to rapid environmental change. Additionally, advances in computational methods, including machine learning and 3D modeling, allow researchers to simulate locomotion, feeding mechanics, and evolutionary scenarios, thereby deepening interpretations beyond static fossils. These modeling efforts bring prehistoric animals to life, enriching our appreciation of form, function, and adaptation. Public engagement and citizen science play increasing roles as well. Museums, digital archives, and virtual reality platforms make fossils and research accessible worldwide, inspiring new generations and expanding data collection. Community-driven fossil hunts and reporting contribute valuable data, democratizing science and stimulating conservation efforts. Despite these advances, many mysteries remain. Questions about the origins of major animal groups, the causes and consequences of extinction events, the full spectrum of prehistoric biodiversity, and the precise pathways of evolutionary transitions continue to challenge scientists. Each new discovery serves as both answer and invitation, a testament to the complexity and wonder of Earth's biological legacy. In sum, paleontology thrives as a dynamic field, continuously enriched by technological progress, global collaboration, and an insatiable curiosity about life's deep history. The journey to unravel prehistoric mysteries is ongoing, a scientific adventure that not only deepens our understanding of the past, but also informs our vision for the planet's future.